What is up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Career Mode, episode number 11 for the Hungarian Grand Prix. We've now kicked on ahead of the real-life Formula 1 season, and it's only been, well, less than 2 weeks, I think, on this year's game. So, pretty proud of that. Racing towards Season 2, and I hope that I can showcase some progress for you guys very shortly. If you missed the last episode, go check it out because it's quite pivotal. Your response that you guys gave to the question that I posed: should we end development of this year's car, at least for the time being? Now, the title is going to give it away, I think. We are going to do that. At least for the next 3 or 4 races, I am going to cease development on everything. We're going to cancel... Well, we're not going to cancel current upgrades we've got in the pipeline, but we're not going to upgrade any further than what we have at the moment. We might also shut down some facilities if that will bring in extra cash. The logic behind this is, if we stop development and wait until our facilities are a little bit better upgraded, have better resource point generation, have better quality control upgrades, it means that we're spending less time fixing failed upgrades and more time actually applying upgrades when we know that they're going to go on, and we can spam them all on at the same time, if that makes sense. So that's what we're going to do for the time being. We've got 1,800 resource points. We could get a few upgrades with that, but we're going to resist temptation. We are going to shut down some facility upgrades, though. I'm looking at personnel and marketing. All the performance facilities on the left-hand side there, they actually bring in resource points every week. If we shut those down, we don't get those resource points every week. So although that costs money to run those facilities, the benefit of actually getting resource points in is worth the cost. So, the final one is personnel. And you might be saying, oh, if we cancel personnel, then Mick Schumacher doesn't get his experience bonus. Mick Schumacher? Wow, he's on my mind lately, isn't he? With that sprint race today and him getting his first points in F1. Oscar Piastri, if we cancel this, his experience goes down and he earns less in terms of practice programs. But to be honest, half the time, Oscar Piastri's not even earning anything in practice anyway. So we may as well save the extra 10 grand a week, and it might be the difference in us getting a facility upgrade on at a crucial time in the season. So that's what we're going to do. It's not going to cost us that much, and we're going to get extra resource point generation upgrades in on other departments later anyway. So here's the current status of the upgrades. Major weight reduction is what I would have done next, but that's going to take a good few rounds to go on. So priority for now is improving the build time, working on resource point generation, and also quality control upgrades for all facilities. That's what we need to work on, and that's going to take some time. We've had a failed upgrade from last episode. I believe that's the ERS upgrade, and now I did say I was going to cancel or stop upgrading, but this is going to be the last one because that one's guaranteed to go on now, and I don't believe there are any discounts that can apply to get that on, so we may as well do that. It's not going to be any cheaper in the long run if we wait. So that's that. We now move into part of the weekend, the Pirelli Hot Lap Challenge. This is in the McLaren Artura, the new V6 hybrid by McLaren, replacing the Sports Series line of cars. Actually faster than my car, despite it being a hybrid and being a little bit heavier. 680 horsepower, this thing. It'd be nice to have a little race around the track. I would love to get my car around a track at some point this year, but we'll wait and see. It would be so sick. I really want to do some track content, guys, like IRL, first track day. I might take one of my cars or someone else's car, like a cheap car around a track, and just learn the ropes before I go straight in and take a full-blown supercar around Silverstone or something. Let me know if that's something you guys want to see. I know the real-life stuff doesn't do that well, but it's, you know, it's experience. It's crazy stuff that I never thought I'd do in my lifetime, and I get to call it my job. So we'll make that a thing at some point. Anyway, that hot lap challenge, that was quite tough, keeping above the minimum speed, minimum average speed. We just missed out on gold, so I think I need to have a few more goes at that to get the gold. Regardless, we move into this weekend itself. And we haven't seen the effect of us stopping upgrades yet. We still had some upgrades go on for this race, and that was from an episode or two ago. So we do make progress in the performance index, but this is, well, next round is as good as it gets for the time being. We make steady inroads on the next group of cars. We pull away from Williams, and we are that much closer to potentially the points runners. And again, very, very tempting. We look so close to being able to regularly challenge for points. But, you know, it all comes down to having a good setup, having being dialed into the circuit, having a bit of luck, a bit of fortune with reliability failures for those around us, crashes, making the most of strategy. A lot has to align for us to get points, and we have been very lucky the last 3 races in a row. Lucky 7s, 3 in a row. Who would have guessed it? Maybe I should buy a lottery ticket. But, yeah, chucking in some decent components for qualifying, and let's hope we don't qualify last. Okay, so here we go for qualifying for the Hungarian Grand Prix. It is actually raining for this session, so this actually opens things up for us nicely. We seem to be quite fast in the rain compared to the AI, so I'm really rating my chances here. So too with Oscar. We are going to wait until halfway through the session because the track is apparently improving. Codemasters love a wet quality session where the track constantly improves. I don't think I rarely ever see a quality session where it starts inters and then it goes to wets. It normally always gets better as it goes along, so we can always be patient. That's why I'm not electing to go out there early to burn sets of intermediate tires. There's also a chance of rain for the race, so I don't want to use too many sets of inters in qualifying. I want to save it for when it really matters, so that's what we're going to do. The EA servers as well, when I was doing this career mode episode, were down, so I couldn't load a time trial setup. So I've had to load someone's off YouTube, so that's that's the setup. I think it's a slightly older setup because the front anti-roll bar and the front suspension were very stiff, and that's something that people were running a week ago, but not necessarily now. But let's see if it's good in the rain across the line, and it's P14, so we're competitive, certainly better than what the car performance index suggests. So, you know, as long as we get a good time in, then, you know, we'll have a chance of being competitive, being on the fringes of the points. 6/10 up on our second lap here. The track is just getting better and better. And because it's raining, the ERS usage is much lower. So we're able to go for repeat laps here. We did 2 laps in a row. I think we would have ran out of ERS on the 3rd lap. So we've taken this lap here as a cool down lap, and then we're going right again right at the end of the session to make the most of the fresh or the best track conditions. I got up to P7, I think, but now that everyone's crossing the line now, we are getting constantly demoted further down the order and really putting us in our place. But if we can improve on this last lap here, then maybe we can fight our way back into the top 10 or somewhere near that. We only need top 15 to progress into the next part of qualifying, and with an ever-improving track, we were one of the last people to cross the line. There should be a good chance of us to cause an upset here in this Hungarian Grand Prix. So here we go, through the middle sector. 4th gear is your best friend. Short shifting is also your best friend. And we're running 50-50 wings. So it's the maximum downforce we can get away with. By the way, I'm going to do a video very soon where I do 0-0 wings. So keep an eye out for that. It was an experience. Anyway, 5/10 up as we approach Sector 3 now. We're down to last place. Oscar Piastri in P20 himself. And I think that might be it for his session. We're up by half a second. Is this going to get us anywhere near our teammates, or maybe even out of the danger zone here in Q1? It is our last throw of the dice. Last corner on the power, nice and early. Bit of wheel spin there, so it's lost us a bit of time. And up to the line. Do we get into Q2? Yes, we do, with a P14. That was very close, especially when you compare it to my teammate's times down in P21. He's only 2/10 away. That's so harsh. Oscar put in a great lap. only 2/10 away, and he's 7 spots behind me. That is absolutely savage. He'll play no further part in qualifying today, but we will progress. It's looking like it might go to dry conditions either in this session or in Q3. We're fast-forwarding time again. We don't want to be running out there on a track that slow, especially when we know it's going to improve. I had a look at the intermediates comparison to the dry compound tires. The dry compound tires are still 11 seconds off, so that's how we check the delta of which tire is best at this point. So to the inters we go. We're going to use a new set of inters. It's interesting to note as well that the tire wear is very low on the inter. We probably could have gone again on the U set, but this is a chance to get into Q3, and it's particularly important on this track because overtaking is very difficult, and if we can just park our car in the top 10 somewhere, then we've got a good chance of defending it for this race. So that's what we're going to try and do. 30 seconds left in this session. We are currently in the safe zone, but everyone is coming around the last sector now to complete their lap, and I have no doubt that they're going to improve, and we need to improve on our lap as well. Down to 14th place. George Russell goes to the top. It's happy hour at the front of the grid. Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes, they're all having the time of their lives going provisional pole, but we're down in P16 now. Everyone has played their hands. Now it's time for us. We're nearly a second up as we head through the third sector. Where is this going to get us in this qualifying session? It was very close from us to the top 10 runners, from us to last place in Q1. This could get me on pole. This could be last place. It could be anywhere. Up to the line. Is it Q3? Yes, it is. It is 9th place in this Hungarian Grand Prix by only 0.2 of a second to Mick Schumacher. We displaced the Haas, and we have plonked a Marduk Motorsport car, a car which does not belong in Q2, let alone Q3. We've caused an upset already. Time for the final part of qualifying, and this is where things really ramp up for the track. The rain has currently stopped, and it's now just a case of waiting for the dry conditions. It will be dry, I believe, by the end of the session, and this is the proof in the pudding. When we flick between tires, it gives us an updated lap delta between the inter and the soft, and you can see the delta between the two tires is coming down every second. So the track is improving. It's getting to the point where we will have dries by the end of the session, but there's only 5 minutes to go, but the delta is coming down rapidly. In an ideal world, the AI are about to go out now on a set of intermediate tires because, in theory, the inter is the faster tire right now, but they're all playing it very patiently. No one has left the garage as of yet, and my hopes are sinking of me getting a cheeky pole position in this career mode. I think they're going to get sent out on a set of dries. It is now the crossover point, and the dries are now faster. So soft compound tires need to be chucked on. We're going to wait as late as possible to get out there because the track's still going to be very damp. It's going to be quite slow on those soft compound tires. The longer we leave it, the better chance we have of causing even more of an upset in this race. So the AI, being conservative as they always are, going out nice and early. 2.5 minutes left to go in the session. We can leave this until about 1 minute 50 seconds, 1 minute 45 if we're really pushing it. Everyone's already gone out, so we may as well go now. We need to get out there and cross the line.
Okay guys, everyone be aware, the car's ready to go.
Sorry for that long interruption. We need to get out there and cross the line before it hits zero. But also, we don't want to leave it too long. We don't want to be exiting into the path of Daniel Ricciardo and that big train of cars that is coming out. We don't want to have our warm-up phase affected by people on laps. So that's what we're going to do. Try and warm up these tires. Track actually feels quite nice. It feels much grippier than the conditions on inters, even though the car felt really nice with maximum downforce on intermediate tires. This is going to be a real stab in the dark here. I don't know if we're going to have pace or not. Sometimes the AI are very OP in conditions like this. We have left this until the very last possible moment We are ready to go for our qualifying lap. I couldn't leave it any longer. We would have been overtaken by the McLaren and the tyres would have cooled out. So away we go. 12 seconds in hand before the session ends. And the dry compound runners are rounding the last corner and setting purple sectors all around the circuit. Lewis Hamilton goes to provisional pole position. Crucially, the Red Bulls did not beat Hamilton's time. Carlos Sainz does, smashes it by 0.4 of a second. George Russell can't shoot up into pole position. And the last car crosses the line of Fernando Alonso. He is in P9. And that is very disappointing for an Alpine. Crossing the line last and going P9. But this is our chance to maybe steal pole position. We're nearly a minute and a half behind everyone else who set their laps. Our circuit is going to be significantly drier than those who came before me. Can we get our first pole position in this season of career mode for Marduk Motorsport? A team that is only 13 Grand Prix old. We've only been in existence for 6 months, and yet we're fighting with the best in Formula One here in Q3. We are 1 corner away from pole position. It was very close, actually. Out of the last corner, over the DRS, and up to the line. It is not pole position today. It is only P7. I suppose we need to have realistic expectations. We can't expect miracles.
We're all ready for tomorrow's race, but before we begin, let's have a quick look at those who'll be fronting the grid. Sainz, Russell, and Lewis Hamilton.
No miracles were had today, but that is still a phenomenal effort from us there in Q3 to cause an upset like that ahead of 2 Alpines and a McLaren. P7 on the grid and only 0.6 away from pole position when the usual gap is anywhere from 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds. That is a massive performance. And if I'm brutally honest with myself, I probably, with a really good lap, could have got P2 there. Very hard to guess how much grip you've got on that 1 lap. It's a 1 lap shootout there. Did my best, but there was a little bit of performance left on the table at times just to make sure I could get the lap. That was the ultimate thing. You know, you can hang it all out there and get P2, maybe even get P1, but it doesn't mean anything if you invalidate the lap. So, had to play with a bit of cautious aggression. But it's paid dividends. It's P7. We're in a great position for the race and in a good position to maybe score some points. So, let's head to the Grand Prix and see how we do.
It's race day in Budapest as we get ready for another round of Formula One action. We're not expecting too many retirements at this circuit. There are plenty of current and former drivers with flawless finish rates here. In particular, Ralf Schumacher, who made it across the line in all 10 of his Hungarian Grand Prix starts. We're northeast of Budapest for today's race at the 2.7-mile Hungaroring circuit. 14 corners here, 8 to the right and 6 to the left, on a track where downforce is king and passing is notoriously difficult. It's time to take a look at our starting grid for today's race. An immense lap from Carlos Sainz yesterday puts him in pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Leclerc, Perez, Benjamin and Ocon, Norris, Fernando Alonso, Mick Schumacher and George Russell, Hamilton, Gasly, Valtteri Bottas and Ricciardo, Vettel, Stroll, Alex Albon and Oscar Piastri, Joe, Magnussen, they've taken a grid penalty, Tsunoda and Nicholas Latifi. That's it then, it's time to go racing as we head down trackside for today's race. It's just about time to go to the track for the beginning of the race, but before we do, Natalie Pinkham, what types of strategy do you think we can expect going into today's race?
Well, there's a lot that both driver and the team have to keep in mind when going into a race. The tyres, fuel, energy recovery system, the list goes on and on. But I think the key to today's victory will come down to the pit stop strategy. Come in too soon and you might find yourself needing more than one stop. Too late and you're putting yourself at a disadvantage by spending longer on worn tyres.
After the points finished last race, let's aim to keep that momentum going.
Oh my goodness. I am getting nosebleeds up here, guys. P5 to start this race. That's a good looking cameraman. P5 on the grid for the Hungarian Grand Prix. I am literally pinching myself. We've got a great chance of points today. We're going to absolutely park the bus. It looks like it's going to rain towards the end of this race. So with that, with the flexibility of the tyre rule, I mean, it's Q3 tyre rule aside, we qualified on inters, so we would have been able to do this anyway. We are going to switch to the hard compound tyre, and we are going to go for glory here and see if we can make it to the rain period without making a pit stop. This is going to be awesome. Guys, are you excited for this race? If you are, make sure you smash the like button. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to see plenty more F1 22 content. We're now on the conquest to get 800k.
It looks like rain is inbound and we're expecting it in around 5 minutes. 5 minutes until the rain. Dry's definitely seem like the fastest tyre at the moment.
Oh, right. Well, that stretch for trying to go to the inters, to the rain, is not going to be difficult at all. 5 minutes till rain. I feel like an idiot on hard compound tyres. Now, it said in the final 2 quadrants of the race that it was going to be raining. So, yeah, we're going to have to tough it out on the hards for now. Final car is rounding the last corner and is putting themselves in their grid slot now. So we're going to get this Grand Prix underway. Let's see. This start is going to be crucial. It's a really long run into turn 1, and we're not starting on the optimal tyre. Everyone is getting disqualified. I literally edited out this bit, but we were waiting for a good minute. I don't know what was going on, but the game is breaking. I think it's because we're so high up. But anyway, everyone has been disqualified, and now we are ready to start this race. Am I going to be the only one on the grid? No, everyone's safe, and we are ready to get this one underway for the Hungarian Grand Prix. It is lights out, and away we go for Budapest. And again, like in Spain, France, something feels like is holding us back. We get into like 6th gear, and then it's like we lose power, we lose revs. It was really weird. I'll show something on my clips channel, which kind of showcases that. I actually had to restart the race a few times because I was getting it even worse on previous attempts. I don't restart races, but I was getting some really weird physics from the car, and that was the least worst out of the lot. So certainly something to think about. Let me know if you guys have experienced it, but it's really strange. Anyway, overtaken by Russell as we head through this middle sector now, and someone's got front wing damage up here because it's all kicking off. Sergio Perez going very slowly, holding up Leclerc and Norris. Ocon and Russell going side by side. We've got Alonso and Gasly trying to put the pressure on me behind. Can we find a way through as these guys are fighting hammer and tong on this opening lap of this Hungarian Grand Prix? This might be your only chance to get a move done because it really settles down after the first lap. So it's all to play for in this Hungarian Grand Prix. Here comes Russell at the inside. Surely he's going to squeeze him out and hold the position, and he does. P8 on this opening lap. That's not horrible. We're on hard compound tyres, and we need to remember that. These guys are much faster than us in terms of their car performance, but also the tyre performance as well. We need to be realistic. We need to be consolidating the current position that we're in. We've been getting P7s lately, and that's absolutely huge for our Constructors' Championship. I think we're pretty safe now from getting overtaken by Aston Martin while we're overtaking Alpines on circuit. Thank you very much. Could we maybe vie for a P6, P7 in the Constructors? We need to see some serious car development, some car improvements. But my teammate isn't quite up to the task. It's only his rookie season, to be fair, and we've been playing these Formula 1 games for centuries now, it feels like. Anyway, side by side for Norris and Russell as we go through Sector 3. These guys are all holding each other up. Somehow I've been able to find my way through these guys who are just too bothered about racing each other than accelerating down the road and away from us. Look at the train behind us. It is absolutely nuts. This battle goes from P4 all the way down to P22. That's how big this train is. Still side by side with Sergio Perez as we round the last corner. He's going to have DRS. No, not DRS. DRS is enabled this lap. next straight potentially, still side by side between the two of us. I'm using a lot of battery to try and hold the outside. I'm not sure why I'm fighting this so hard. This is a Red Bull, we've got to remember. But we slot in behind, Perez gets a position, pretty much inevitable anyway. Russell is now lining me up as he's now composed himself and is getting back into the rhythm and using a lot of ERS in the middle part of the lap. Unable to do anything for the time being. That gap is coming down very swiftly though. George Russell is making me very nervous. He comes up the inside now into Sector 3, and that's really awkward. This wasn't the first time he actually did this. There was a lot of squabbling in this opening stint where the AI would just kind of go for our little half look up the inside but not really follow through with it. So we ended up losing a lot of time to the race leaders. It was going to happen anyway, but this battling is only accelerating that progress, and Alonso briefly got up in a P7. Yellow flag back there, that is Alexander Albon, who unfortunately has an engine failure. So it's been tit for tat for the engine failures lately. It started off and has always been the Red Bull Honda power unit cars failing. Then it switched to Ferrari for a little bit, then the Alpine power unit, and now we're starting to see Mercedes be a little bit unreliable. So it seems no engine manufacturer is perfect at this early stage. Maybe we should make our own engine. I mean, it can't possibly go any worse than what it currently is now. But regardless, still P6 in this race, lap 5. You can see the top 5 are absolutely checking out in this race. Russell is, again, like I said earlier, he's going for those half little dives and not really committing to it. And he's just costing us both time because I have to leave space, otherwise we'll crash. And Russell doesn't go for the move fully. If he just commits, he'll get the move done, and he not only holds up his teammate, but he loses a spot to the car ahead. So both Mercedes lose out of position because of that. And Lewis Hamilton has got front wing damage, ever so slightly. It was on the bottom of the nose, and it was enough to change the strategy of the leading Works Mercedes team. Those guys having a crisis, those two teammates. They've done really well to keep it under wraps after the double DNF coming together last race. No outbursts from Lewis over the radio, even in this race. They're doing very well on the crisis control, shall we say. Anyway, nearly emerging into a crisis here at Turn 2 as we run side by side with Esteban Ocon. We managed to maintain the place for now. But yeah, all this squabbling, it's meaning we're not going to finish in the top 5. That's okay, because I'm entertaining this battle with George Russell, but only as long as it keeps me in this race, because he's starting to get a little bit too desperate in this race. He finally gets ahead, but then he bottles it. He locks up massively on the outside front tire, carts us wide. And I'm not having any of that. We got left absolutely no space there. It was our corner. We were ahead. He was the attacking driver. Left us no space. And so we opted to keep the position. So, yeah, I'm battling with this guy. I'm leaving him space, all because, well, we're not going to get top 5. We may as well have a fair fight with this guy. We're trying to be respectful. We're leaving space, but just like that, we're losing half a second at least every time he does that. It's so silly. If he just composes himself, waits for the right opportunity, he will get the move done. He's just so desperate in this race to get ahead. Now I think he's fine. No, never mind. He's not done it. We do a counter-attacking move into turn 1. Rotate nicely on that inside curb, which gets us round the corner and ahead of George Russell again. Timely move, because it puts us ahead as the VSC gets deployed, and we take that opportunity to really save fuel. I mean, George Russell has already ruined my chances of getting a top 5. It was never happening anyway, but really thought I'd lift off quite heavily there in that VSC, and we managed to recover nearly half a lap's worth of fuel, and we're back in the game to potentially finish this race. I'm hoping that the rain is really kind to the fuel consumption, because we have underfueled a little bit to the point where we will have to do a little bit of fuel conserving to get to the end. Here comes Pierre Gasly into turn 1. So Russell gets me for keeps this time, and it looks like Gasly is going to get me too. Round the outside into turn 2, and that is job done. So we're now down to 8th place. That's okay. But let's not lose any more positions. Sebastian Vettel next behind us. And then Aston Martin will be a nice rear gunner to us because they're slower than us on the performance index, apparently. So I rate my chances of keeping him behind. We are slow in a straight line. We've got 50-50 wings on. So we are vulnerable in the only place you can overtake around this circuit. Provided we use all of our ERS on the start-finish straight, we should be able to stay ahead. We're fast the rest of the way around the circuit, so we should be okay. Vettel pits, and that leaves us vulnerable to Ocon into turn 1. He goes up the inside, and that is move done. We try and hang around the outside. We'll have the inside for the next left-hander, using a bit of battery to do so, and we do hold on to the place. A bit of squabbling in the process. It's allowing Gasly and Russell to get away. I still think I can beat those guys in this race if it does rain later on. The strategy we are...
There appears to be an issue. We're currently investigating.
Oh no. Throw all those plans of finishing in the top 10 out the window because we have a car issue.
Okay, the virtual safety car's been deployed. Slow down and maintain a positive delta. There's been an incident resulting in a high level of debris on the track. Be careful. Okay, it's not good news, I'm afraid. Seems like an engine issue.
It's an engine issue, but it's not terminal. We're able to stay in this race. The safety car has been deployed. Lance Stroll is out of the race. He had it's another Mercedes power unit that blows up. So at least it's the Mercs that are blowing up today and not the Hondas. I'll take it.
Okay, so this light rain is going to be with us for a while now. Dries definitely seem like the fastest tyre at the moment. Good news, it looks like the fault's been fixed. Let's go.
Let's go indeed. We're going to save even more fuel. I did have the opportunity to stop right then and there, but I thought the rain's coming anyway. What's the point? It shouldn't be too far away now, and then we can just switch straight to the intermediate tyre. There's no point boxing for another set of dry compound tyres when my hards feel okay anyway. Though the race leaders are staying out, everyone is staying out in this race. So we would have only thrown away track position, and then everyone would have been boxing onto inters. So right play to stay on the hards. We're only 27% wear. We can probably do the whole race on these tyres if we need to, and that should be more than enough time to wait until the rain hits. So that's what we're going to do. These guys on mediums who haven't stopped under the safety car, that's a really big missed opportunity because they are surely approaching their pit window. If not, they'll all be diving in now. As we go back to green flag running pretty much, we don't have anyone in the pit lane. These guys are still on their old medium compound tyres. What are they doing? Rejoining on the race, and we nearly bin the car on the restart. Away we go for green flag running in this Hungarian Grand Prix. Pierre Gasly is in the crosshairs. These guys are start going slowly. Oh, and they are going slowly. A lot more aggressively than I thought. Pierre Gasly is out of this race. That is a massive shock. He never retires. He never retires with engine failures. I am really surprised. Anyway, the race leaders are in. Everyone is pretty much in, with the exception of Carlos Sainz, who started on the softs, went to mediums after about 10 laps, and is on fresher mediums, but I doubt Sainz might be able to stay on those tyres until the end. So, the way that it's played out, I think we might be in a position to be leading or winning this race. 14 laps to go. Oscar Piastri is now coming in. Again, that's a missed opportunity. Why didn't he pit on the safety car? Why didn't anyone pit on the safety car? We'll never know. The rain is still... It's been here for a long time. It's just been the lightest rain I think I've ever seen. It's been the longest transition to intermediate tyres that I think I've ever seen on this game. Meanwhile, Daniel Ricciardo getting in the mix with Lewis Hamilton, I believe. The Ferrari of Carlos Sainz is now in, and that gives us the lead for the first time in our Marduk Motorsport career. We are leading a Grand Prix, and guess who's in second? Daniel Ricciardo in the McLaren. It's an Aussie 1-2, so even if we fluff up the strategy somehow, at least Daniel Ricciardo is net P1 right now. If it stays dry, Ricciardo has a chance to win the Grand Prix. He's got Alonso, Tsunoda, and Schumacher as rear gunners, but Max Verstappen is cutting through that traffic very quickly on his fresh, hard compound tyres. Who says you can't overtake at Hungary? The Ferrari drivers are getting in the mix. This is Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc, much like the action in the sprint race today. It's good to see Ferraris battling, isn't it? It's something so exciting about teammates, but particularly Ferrari teammates fighting in a Grand Prix. It is unmatched. Anyway, rounding the last corner, we still lead this race. I am living in some kind of a dream right now. Yuki Tsunoda fighting off Max Verstappen, doing his best job to fight for a podium, but Max says, no thank you, get in the bin, son, I'm on the podium now. He is numero uno in the Red Bull umbrella family. It's actually for P4, but it could be P3 if anything happens to Ricciardo or Alonso in these next few laps. 9 laps to go, and we still lead this race. We're actually holding station rather well to Daniel Ricciardo. He is faster than us, but only by about 2 or 3 tenths a lap. So, based on Ricciardo's pace, we could win this race. However, we still need to make a stop in this race. We started the race on these hard compound tyres, and because of the 2 compound tyre rule, we will get disqualified at the end of this race if we don't make a pit stop. The exception to this rule is if the DRS gets enabled by the stewards. If the DRS gets enabled, and it's not raining heavy enough, DRS gets disabled rather, if it doesn't rain heavy enough, we can finish the race on these hard compound tyres, but by that point, you may as well switch to intermediate tyres. Lot to play out in this race. Here comes Charles Leclerc up the inside of Yuki Tsunoda. At least one AlphaTauri is working this season. Yuki Tsunoda actually fights back at turn 2 and gets back up into P4. Fair play. Fair bloody play. Fighting off a Ferrari in a race like this. There's a lot to play for when the pack is so disorganized by the safety cars, by the weather. Now you can see Max Verstappen getting in the mix, and this is for net P1 or P2 on track. He gets Alonso, and now Daniel Ricciardo is isolated. No, he's not. Alonso gets back past Verstappen. It's side by side up the hill into turn 4. Verstappen hangs around the outside in these greasy conditions and is on the podium with 5 laps remaining. Where is the rain? Where is the rain, guys? We are in a position to win this race. Alonso diving into the pit lane, and that promotes Tsunoda into the top 5 once again. But here we go. This is the battle for P2, potentially even the battle for P1. Ricciardo and Verstappen fighting side by side as they head down into turn 1. Verstappen having the more flowing run around the outside. He'll have the inside for the next left-hander. There's Ricciardo holding on strong into P2 for the time being. I think it's only a matter of time before Verstappen gets him. Ricciardo putting up the fight of his life to keep Verstappen at bay and at least help one Australian win this Hungarian Grand Prix. Ricciardo's already won it back in 2014. Who cares? He doesn't care about winning another race. He wants to give it to me, I hope. There's a seat in it for you, Daniel. If you keep Verstappen behind, I'll pay you 100 million to help me win this race. Just give me a couple of years to save it up. Round the outside goes Max Verstappen, and forget about what I said, because it's not happening. 3 laps to go in this race, and Verstappen is clear. There's only myself to defend Max Verstappen from winning this race, and I'm just praying now that the rain hits. I'm now getting alternate strategy options from Mark Priestley. He's saying intermediate tyres this lap is the way to go, but it doesn't feel ready. The track isn't that slippery. It's getting there, but the hards are still faster than the Inter. I would imagine the Inter would just be overheating at this point. And we're getting now into the dangerous last 3 laps where the AI, regardless of conditions, will not stop in this race. So I think my only chance now of winning this Grand Prix is if the stewards wake up and disable the DRS. That is my only hope. Oh, Max Verstappen has gone off the track. That gives us a little bit of breathing room. That might save us from being overtaken on this straight. That gives us half a second's worth of gap to defend with, because Max Verstappen is going to have DRS.
Okay, we haven't used both dry compounds yet.
Yes, I know. I am fully aware of the tyre compound rule. This is our last chance, our last throw of the dice to stay in the lead and wait for the DRS to get disabled. You can see it's a change to intermediate tyres at the end of this lap, but I don't know if that's enough. Can we make up a pit stop with 1 lap to go? We've done it before. We have done it before on F1 2013.
Check your MFD.
But I don't know, it's really got to start raining on the last lap to really push the intermediate to be the head and shoulders faster tyre compared to the dry. Half a lap remaining on this penultimate one, and Verstappen is still all over us. Maybe I've got to sabotage Verstappen's race to get an Australian on the top step of the podium. Ricciardo, I'd like to secretly think he was helping us out earlier. Maybe we can help him out. But we've got to face it here, guys. I think we've got to make a pit stop, or we've got to risk disqualification and just stay out. Here comes Max Verstappen up the inside into the third to last corner. Verstappen goes in deep, and we take the lead of the Grand Prix once again. We take the lead of the Grand Prix once again, and here's the replay of Max Verstappen diving to the inside with only 3 corners to go, plus 1 lap in this race. That was a nice little move, and this overhead shot really showcases the cutback we got on Max Verstappen. That was such a clean move. Clean as you like. Verstappen absolutely taken to school to us, or by us, but now we are going to get taken to school by the stewards. Thank you very much for not enabling DRS or disabling DRS. We are into the pit lane now, and even if we chanced it, if we went round the last corner, we would have got disqualified anyway. So into the pits we go for a set of intermediate tyres. I think even still the track isn't ready for it. We were 1 lap away. 1 lap away from winning a Grand Prix in a backmarker car, and the only thing that stopped us was the weather. Why couldn't it rain? Why couldn't it have rained any harder than that and everyone be forced onto intermediate tyres for that last stop? We would be in that position right now if fortune was on our side. Max Verstappen wins the Hungarian Grand Prix and heads into the summer break with a lot of momentum. Maybe I should have stopped under safety car. Maybe I should have gone to medium compound tyres and I could have been winning the race myself. It's so easy to say all of this with hindsight. I thought I was on the right strategy. We've gone from winning to nothing.
All right, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
Oh, guys. That is very hard to swallow. That could have been brilliant.
It was a magnificent race and a drive right out of the top draw to take the win for Red Bull today. Natalie Pinkham, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I think it was clear what the main contributing factor out of the track was: speed. It sounds like an awfully reductive statement, but fast cars win races, and we saw that today with our winner.
Here come today's winners. The team at Red Bull have done a phenomenal job recently, and it's clear to see that they've put in the work, and they should be so proud of the victory they secured here.
Fair play. All I can say is fair play, Max. He drove like an absolute champion. Recovered really well. He had to overtake like 5-6 cars, maybe more, make up a 10-second deficit, and still won the race, despite not pitting under safety car. Why did no one stop under safety car? Why did I not stop under safety car? I think, upon reflection, I still could have won that race. I should have boxed for medium compound tyres. I was just assured. I thought the rain going to intermediate tyres was a guarantee based on the pre-race strategy. It's never 100% concrete, but I thought we'd be going to inters. So I thought at the time I made the right call by favouring track position. I thought inters were only a few laps away, but I was wrong. I could have gone to mediums. I could have got a free pit stop under safety car, and I would have been maybe even further up the road on medium compound tyres. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about it. So close to winning a race in our first season. That's unbelievable. Oh, I'm so disappointed. I'm so sorry, guys. I did my best. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you did enjoy. It was a hell of a race, wasn't it? We were right in the mix there until the very last lap. Subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more racing game content. I'm absolutely devastated. Absolutely devastated, because that would have given us the 100% confidence to end off that season without doing any more upgrades. We could have easily consolidated the position of the constructors that we were in. Maybe even overtake the next car. I don't know. But we live and we learn. We move on to the next Grand Prix, the Belgian Grand Prix. We've got a big break in between, well, the in-game universe. It's going to be tomorrow's upload, of course, but summer break to recover. In-game Tiametmarduk is going to go on a holiday and forget about that entire weekend, and we'll bounce back stronger. We're going to save up all we can with the facilities, with the cash, with the resource points, and then we'll assess where we're at. We're in a few races time. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'm so annoyed. Moving on. Belgian Grand Prix next. Thank you for the support. I'm gonna go cry. See you next time.